All right. Hey, everyone. Jared Napolitano, JNap here, doing a stream for the first time in a while. It's been a pretty crazy couple months for me, but I am happy to be doing one of these again now that I found some time and in light of the May the 4th celebration, especially within the Star Wars CCG community. So I wanted to contribute in the form of a tournament report, video one that are a bit easier to do than written ones. So hopefully, if there's any live viewers, hopefully you can hear me okay and see my screen okay. I'm planning to go through all 5 of my matches, and I'm going to try to do it in an efficient manner. I don't want this to be, a 3-hour report. That's why I will be skipping a lot of like pre-planning or playtesting, and maybe approach. I think a lot of that will come out organically as I look at and review the games. So I definitely don't want to repeat myself by kicking it off and talking about things that I'm going to get to anyway. So we'll start here. I was a 2 seed for this event. Again, this is the 15th Match Play Championship 2021 online on GEMP. I was a 2 seed. I guess my performance at Worlds, where I placed in the top 8, went a long way. I also placed in the OCS top 16 last year. I qualified in the very first month. But my 2 first months of the OCS in 2021 haven't been that great. I definitely was trying to get through my games as quick as possible in March, as my wife and I had our second child in the middle of March. So I wanted to get the games out of the way, and I think I was done by March 3rd. And at that time, I also didn't want to be stuck in the middle of the new set that eventually dropped, I think like March 19th maybe. So that's my excuse for not having the greatest first month. And February, I don't know, maybe just didn't play well. But yeah, happy that the seeding committee gave me a 2 seed. I think that was very flattering. My first matchup here was against Gornall or Bob. He had advanced past Apollyon. In my planning, I know I played against him in game 3 of Worlds. He played WAP. I played Agents. I had a big Monarch. That kind of broke that game open, but not the best matchup for Agents. So I'll just start here. I went with Prophet and Agents of Black Sun for the first, stage of the Match Play Championship. And Agents, it's just my most comfortable deck over the last year or so. Prophet, I like it in this meta with map. I think I could adapt it to deal with a lot of the pressure that map brings. So that's where we got here, and I definitely wasn't happy to see Huntdown flipped over against Bob. Huntdown's always a decent, tough matchup for Prophet, just because it denies force and it puts pressure on early, and it makes a couple cards useless if I don't have other Jedi like Anakin and Leia because of the 7 side. So I drew this hand, definitely not a great hand. I have 7 red cards and Leia, or 8 red cards and Leia. So I'll try to speed this up, go through parts that are, again, in the interest of making this a game that doesn't take, or a report that doesn't take forever. But yeah, definitely right off the bat, I'm a little, Huntdown's not what I want to see. We have the new UI here, of course, which I really like for, at least for review and spectator purposes. I've played a decent amount on it, but it's still technically in public beta, although I think it's like 8% there. Shout out to Joker King Chris for drafting up a guide for this that should help people that aren't as familiar, maybe as the people start transitioning from the old jump if they want to the new. So pretty standard here. I have my standard start. I get 3PO out. I get my antechamber out. I'm pulling a couple different cards I need. I get Obi-Wan, which is good. Put the farm out against Huntdown's not always great because Vader can go there and it can become a drain of 3 pretty quickly. Definitely what Huntdown want, but he stacks the audience chamber with Mara, Avazin, and Vader. And this is something that I was happy to see. I think to give away, or I shouldn't say give away. I mean, if you're a newer player, that's why I kind of make these newer returning player. I don't think this is a good strategy for Huntdown to stack the audience chamber because I'm not hitting damage. Let me slow this down a little bit. I think the key for Huntdown here is just to keep putting me on my heels. And there's a couple juicy sites here for drains of 3 with the lightsaber, and really make me start making tough decisions and losing cards. When he does this, all I'm dealing with is Visage, and I have 5 cards to spot once I free. Now, the hope obviously is that Darkseid here is stacking the audience chamber, thinking I'm never going to get Han out, but With Hunt Down, they don't really usually play Sense, and I have Someone Who Loves You, which is an extremely important card. Against Hunt Down or Court, I would say are the two biggest matchups I use it. I'm covering the screen here. So, he could put 5, 6, 7 characters there, and I could just put Leia there and free. And another key card here, as we'll see right now, is R2. R2 is huge for this matchup. R2D2 virtual. He adds an icon here, so this is now Battleground. He's a spy. I can pull him from reserve with Seeking an Audience. Non-V. And what I do here is I'm just going to put R2 with Obi-Wan, and in my hand I have... I don't have a Hujix, but I definitely don't want to keep getting pressure. So yes, I do have Someone Who Loves You, and I have Leia. So that actually I have 2 Leias right now. Maybe I put one down. Yeah, I have Lando and Din. So this is pretty good. I take the pressure off. He's now doing no damage. I'm threatening a drain of 2. It's a Battleground. He kind of has to react to it. So he starts his 3rd turn. Again, this is game 1. I chose to go first as light side. Definitely have more confidence with my light side. I shouldn't say that. I had more confidence to win by like 15 to 20 with light side, whereas dark, I didn't have that much confidence in that with the agents, especially because I feel like I'd be put on it by some of the people in my bracket. So I didn't want to go first with that and get in a hole against like a They're As Good in Him or some rough matchup for agents. So he gets Force Push. He's got 12 cards in his Force pile. He's now deploying Dooku here. And no escape to get back. So I've done this before too, where you you forget that Force Push goes on top of your Lost pile, and then that was a misplay by him, because Force Push is a once per game card. Comes down with Newt, so he's going to get 2 Battle Destiny because Newt adds 1 with the Trade Federation guy. But I'm still not too worried here. Now he comes down with First Strike. I'm going to hit some pings, or a ping, I should say. I'm going to get Aim High to make sure he pays for it. And I'm not Shield Bust. I'm holding the Hear Me Baby in case I need it for an I Have You Now, and until I need to burn it. I whiff on the Wisa. So that's Wisa, or Boston Ash Chambers is the bottom card of my Force pile. So that was unfortunate. And this is the one matchup we definitely, as Prophet, want the activation. So he comes down. I lose Wisa from use pile. Not too worried I'm going to get overflowed here. He does Sith Fury on a Destiny 3. Not ideal. And then he draws a Gik. So I get fortunate here because Hunt Down does have a lot of high Destinies. I think it's 1 and 5. So I then draw a 1 Ayla Secura Hollow from the online play week this year. Yeah, I think that's this year, right? So I got to lose Obi. I'm not going to lose. I have to lose Obi. And he flips now, and let me speed this up. So now he's still not forcing me any damage. He uses Force Lightning, he kills R2. R2, that was cool. Force Lightning effect from the new interface here. And now I go to my turn. So again, I'm not feeling a ton of pressure. I get Underworld Contacts out for some activation. I draw a bunch, including a Luke and a Yoda and a Mess. So I'm just going to keep building my hand here and make sure that when I do put down Leia and Someone Who Loves You, I'm not going to then immediately lose Han for good. Meanwhile, he still has the stack at the Audience Chamber. He replenishes his hand. He goes to 13. I'm going to activate a bunch. And this is, I believe, the turn I start making some moves. This is my turn 4. Come down with Yoda, flip him back. This is to make sure I satisfy Coward. So I'm going to put Leia down, grab a use pile pull. I take Chewie, who's only now only going to be 2 Force. Luke's goes down for 3, because I'm still on the front side of my objective. Then Chewie comes out, and I'm getting a little tight on Force here. This might not have been the best situation. I grab Anakin's. I want to make sure that Luke has that, so I can use about the mess combo if I need to get rid of anybody. Now I retrieve my 5, getting me all the way back to my starting interrupt, which I don't need, and whatever card I lost turn 1. I'm now flipped. And I have a Doom stack here with the whole crew: Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Yoda, and 3PO. Just like the movies, Yoda hanging out at Jabba's palace. So Bob's gonna activate, and I'm now at board position. So Leia's going to cancel these drains for 2 turns, buy me some time. He comes down with P59. This was an interesting play that he made here. So he just goes, he's just planning to suicide P59 and get rid of Han. So I have Luke to do the redraw to protect him. Hopefully it doesn't work, still hits him. And he plays Sniper Dark Strike, which is a popular card in the meta right now with map. And I love this card, Strike Blocked. It cancels Dark Strike or Sniper Dark Strike combo, which is in a lot of decks, and you are beaten, which was really popular when Hunt Down V was popular, but you'll see it in map decks right now as well. You'll see Sniper Dark Strike in Hunt Down V, map obviously. Court and CCT probably won't play it, but it's a bullet card. It's only Destiny 3. It can be cycled in a pinch, but this card saved me a couple games. And the reason I used it here, I grabbed it. I wanted to make sure I didn't lose anybody besides Han with this suicide mission, because he could go P59. If he makes Han go lost, then he can also kill 3PO or Chewie, and I figured let me grab it, because what I'm going to want to do is put a gift on 3PO at some point, have him undercover, and protect him from Sniper Dark Strike. If 3PO can block that drain, that would be ideal. But with first strikeout, that was the card I had to use. I draw 4 and a 5. I hit P59. I'm going to be able to kill Forlom here. Not a good place for Forlom, because usually you just want him to kind of cycle cards. Now he loses that ability to cycle cards, and we're about even on life force and hand. He has to burn his Gick, and he already used his no escape, so he can, he could force a battle and try to get that back, but especially now that I'm not threatening any damage. But we'll go along here. I think there's one other big battle in this game, and then we'll hop forward again in the interest of doing all these games and trying to do them in an efficient manner. So I move Luke over, so then I satisfy Coward. I Jedi Lev to get Han back, and now I'm just going to move the Caravan, or Convoy, I always get those mixed up, over to Jabba's Palace, so that he doesn't start moving these people in front of me. I'm also holding a key card here. What do I got? Oh yeah. So this is obviously another huge card for this week, for this event, with a lot of Ellis Hellrot, especially in CCT. You'll see it. Sometimes you'll see it in Court, but you'll definitely see it a lot in map. And this is how they move around their beat squad. So definitely holding on to this. And that's where I figure at some point he's gonna try to move these people. And what I want to do is, bury him at, maybe I cancel one of these or cover up one of these drains with 3PO, and then have him at this drain -1 site. And if he moves Mara there, even better, because then a gift will subtract from the drain. So now I find my Boss Nass Chambers, which now at this point of the game, I'm not sure if I'll deploy it. Sorry. So he gets Emperor, Blizzard 4, Bane. That's a good play, knowing that I don't have, Leia's over there, so she doesn't have a blaster rifle. But now he's threatening a drain of, this is only a drain of 1. This is a drain of 0 now that he moves him out, or will be with a gift. So, and I think I have one more Leia to cancel. So again, I'm just trying to stabilize here, get the cards I need, start setting up my damage, and then late game, we'll see as a theme with these games is get Rey and Jedi Rey out and start retrieving cards and accumulating some diff. And again, this is definitely, I think, a tough matchup for Prophet. I think one of the hardest ones. Leia's gun comes out, move 3PO over. I think, so I grabbed the sniper. I'm trying to think if I made it a point. So now I play I Have You Now. I feel pretty confident he's not going to come down. I guess if he comes down with Maul, I had some answers. Or I think, knowing his Gick is gone, he can't really attack into this, even with like Maul. Avazin's over here, Vader's over here. Like, I feel pretty good here. So now I guess I felt okay to play the I Have You, or the Hear Me Baby, and not hold on to it. So now he does play Sniper Dark Strike. I grabbed it, and he's going to kill 3PO. Cause a ping with I Am Your Father. That's not ideal. But I think, I'm trying to remember a lot of these games blend together. So 3PO goes lost. Battle plan is out. And we're now he's at 17. He's got a huge hand of 16 cards, 33 to my, 34. We're pretty close. I get Han out. And Ayla comes out. Lando comes out. I fish out Din from the use pile. This is now 3 Battle Destiny. I'm sorry. He comes out with Secret Plans. I'm going to battle here. Retrieve a card because of first strike. He goes to swing at Din, and fortunate he misses. I draw 5/5/5 for Battle Destiny. And, you know, a big component here was I knew he's not playing 3 Sniper Dark Strikes, so I didn't, and he didn't have the force, I don't think, for You Are Beaten. So I call some overflow here. Looks like, was it 6 overflow plus both characters? Now I got Lando. I'm on 2 battlegrounds. He only has so much force to work with, and definitely if he wants to drain. Do I have a Hoojix? I don't think so. No. We got a revert here. I'm on 3x, and we are at about 18 minutes. Not the greatest pace, but I had a little intro. A lot of times the second game, so I went, I guess I went 9. With match play, it's kind of weird because the second game, you know, you might not really lose it if you play it out, but once it becomes inevitable, what the match result is. But a lot of my second games were much quicker for the 5 rounds. I guess the first 3 for sure. Game 2 of my first 3 matches went pretty quickly. So here comes Kylo. This wasn't a great play. Lando gets powerful. He doesn't have a Gick. You can't really suicide into that if you don't have a Gick. So now he's peeling. I think he peels it all. So he doesn't allow me to start setting up any retrieval or start putting cards back from my hand, which I could have done with Quite a Mercenary to search. So he just loses it all, and I win by 19. So interesting battle that, you know, he took overflow in his own battle. I caused overflow in another battle. So now I'm up 19. Let's go to game 2. So history. I need to go to page 2. So game 2 versus Gornall. So game 2 is my agents. I wasn't sure. I was anticipating Bob to play WAP or EBO. Let's see, why is it working? Let's go. Okay, hit play. Here we go. All right, so he turns over EBO, and this matchup, put a couple, maybe 1 or 2 tech cards for EBO. Definitely the new alter combo to get rid of Protection of Skywalker. And the game plan with this, again, being up 19, I just knew, you know, just keep cramming through damage. You know, once EBO gets set up, it can get a lot of damage pretty quickly, even though I definitely, the game plan is resistance needs to come in, start using my Shadows of the Empire to do pinging. Luke is often not going to be, sometimes he is. Some EBOs just put Luke in space and play Farm Boy Luke, and some play Commander Luke, and that one's a little more of a problem because it keeps me on my 0 side of the objective. I just start throwing out activation. I get the Kree. I got a pretty good hand here, yeah. He did not pull Goldenrod, so I got Emperor for free. Cycle the Force Lightning, move everybody over. And again, my goal here is just get damage through as quick as possible. Make sure I don't get beat up by a speeder squad on my Coruscant sites. Make sure I don't get ice stormed. Make sure I don't allow him to get like a free retrieval with Walker sighting V. All that stuff. I played this matchup a lot of times. I feel pretty good about it. I think EBO kind of they need to get their 2 Projection of Skywalkers out early. They need to make sure Luke is keeping me on my 0 side. They just can't afford to take all the pings, given the amount of cards that EBO puts on the table. So he puts Luke over here, which is great, because that's my biggest fear, is that he comes down with Luke. In the MPC final last year, I played against Gogolin. I played a stunning move. He came down on his turn, like 1, I think it was, with like Lando, Solo, and a speeder, and beat up my Grievous, and I peeled, and I peeled like 7 cards, and that was like the end of the match, basically. So there is a little bit of concern of EBO doing a speeder beat squad on early, but I could have just Sizer's Bounty, Luke, but EBO can also play Control, Tunnel Vision. They do that sometimes. Since the Destiny's terrible anyway, you might as well define a key card. So I'm just doing typical Agents of Black Sun stuff. I'm spreading. I have my, Gicking as an emergency. I'm just looking what's in my force pile. Making sure I have a Black Sun agent on all 3 of my sites so I can use Sizer's Bounty to act as a barrier. And now I'm grabbing some cards. Erica is a really good card because even if he had, in this matchup, even if Luke is on or in a speeder and has me on my 0 side, she can retrieve because he has to be outside based on her text present at a battleground site. So she was a card I was thinking if OA was going to be popular. I had a feeling OA was going to be more popular than it was. I guess because map just beats it really good. Diplo will play it. Legend Erica V is good against. He's spending now this turn 2 getting set up. He's got his generals out. He's got Radis. He's going to just start, doing what EBO does of just like vomiting on the table with a ton of cards, ships. He asked for a revert here. We get our cool animation from the revert. And he deploys Anakin and Rogue One, and like he needs to win by 20 with EBO, which I almost played EBO on the OCS last October against Drew, but yeah, ISB was really popular, and there's like no way EBO is going to beat ISB by anything more than like a dozen. Best case scenario, a dozen. Usually it's going to be less and me probably lose. So that's why I didn't play it. I got desperate and hoped for Throne Room to catch him on court, but EBO, I don't think it's a great match play deck, and definitely not when you have to make up. When you're playing from behind, it's really tough because, like in this example, I know exactly what I need to do. I just need to keep forcing damage through. So I'll speed this up. I don't think we get too much further. I have Erica here inside, so she can keep retrieving, while Luke's here. I'm on my 3 battlegrounds. I don't even mind paying 3 to drain for 1 in these cases. And I think what he does, I think he deploys a bunch of ships to Hoth. And his best strategy here would be to, I don't know if he's got the ships, maybe he didn't have the ships to get to Coruscant. Like, I don't know if he's got like an it's a hit, or it could be worse, or just different ways to mitigate my damage. But here comes Rogue 3 and Wedge. Not too worried about this. I'm going to Barrier Corrin. EBO sometimes plays Barrier Canceller, but then he has to run away. And now he's looking at, I got a drain of 2 here. But I'll set up now that he has, I have my Gick, so I don't think I'm afraid to go to space. I think that's what I do with the Infiltrator. I have Tarkin's Order, so I can cancel that drain. Again, just buy me a turn of finding more cards I need. Working diff. And that's where, match play, you don't always have to win by a lot. Especially game 2s, you just have to know the circumstances and play accordingly as best capable of, obviously, as your deck allows. And that's where I think deck selection is obviously huge, not just in picking decks that are good for match play, but picking decks that are flexible if you have to win by a lot or if you have to just kind of grind out, win by a little. That's one of the mindsets that I took to this tournament, and that came through with day 2, maybe for better or worse, was my dark side deck. I didn't play with it a ton. I felt pretty good about it. I think it had the capacity to get me to the win, but a couple things broke my way in a positive way, and then I made a couple of mistakes, and Joe played extremely well in the final, and we'll get there. But that was my dark side selection in game 2. Agents I felt really good about, but I didn't feel like I could play it in the final 4 just because I'd be pinned on it, and that There's Good in Him deck was deadly. So Bob concedes here. He put a couple more ships here. He can go to Endor, but he's just not going to be able to win by 20. So that was round 2, the round of 32. Let's now go to the next round. I played against Adam Trunzo. He was the 3 seed. Adam's a really good player. He finished in the top 4 in the MPC the last 2 years. And I had a feeling he was going to be on like Huntdown B. I just assumed everyone might play map during this event because map is so popular. I want that map and really strong. Again, I felt better about my light side, so I went first with that. Huntdown V does not put nearly as much pressure on it as Huntdown does. So here we go. We started off again. I'll just try to multitask here and describing the situation and also describing the game and trying to balance having a informative tournament report that isn't too long. So he takes a little different approach than what Bob did in getting Vader out to Jabba's palace and threatening a drain of 3. He's got domination here, so that means I know he doesn't have like not domination, Imperial Enforcement. So that means I know he doesn't have like Doctor of Ozin, Boba Fett Bounty Hunter, like certain things I know I don't have to play around. He pulls this, who does this a lot is Dr. Torch. He pulls the Weapon Left Shield, but I don't even have anybody at these sites. So like, this is where there's like a fine line, and I'll do this sometimes too, where you just pull shields just so you don't forget to do them, because you might tell yourself, oh, I don't need this Weapon Left Shield unless I'm about to be battled, but then you forget to pull it right at that battle. So this is maybe just playing it safe, but something I've learned to do over the past like 6-8 months. I've just looked at different matchups and been like, what shields do I need for this matchup? If I play this deck, I come across this deck, what are my 4 or 5 shield pulls that I need? So that maybe he took the approach of, I know I'm not going to need these shields, so I'm just going to burn this now so I don't forget to burn it later with no downside of me forgetting. Maybe that was his approach. So I get 3 PO out, my turn 1, get all my activation. Yeah, I hit everything. So I got all 5 of my sights out. He's going to drain me for 3 here. I have Leia. I need to draw some cards. What I do a lot, and people, I don't know, I don't like to burn the starting interrupt to look for the sight unless I'm positive it's in there. So, because if you whiff on it, then you can't get it out again if you activate it. So what I'll do is I'll always use Seeking the Audience first because there's more odds that I hit, like especially in this deck, R2, 3PO, or Underworld contacts. So then I know, okay, I know if the sight's in there and I know if the farm's in there. I don't want to whiff on those things because then it can really put me back. So even though I have to spend now the Force, because I do want the Antechamber in between for this matchup. At some point, I think Mara's going to run away, or she's going to be, eliminated. So here comes a drain of 3, Ant-Man, Wisa, and Chewie. Yeah, he moves Mara out. So now he consolidates. Now this, I wouldn't like this move, because I'm just going to move a gift over here, and now he's only going to drain for 1. And that's good. That gives me more breathing time. And anytime with matchup, you don't want to, you're just trying to buy time to find the cards you need, because the best thing the Hunt Down can do is just pressure. Drain a 3, drain a 3, drain a 3, drain a 3. If Hunt Down gets in a position where they're not forcing damage, that really gives Prophet some room to breathe, to find its activation, find its characters, find its evasion, find its damage mitigation. And in this Prophet build that I use is a beats. So I can also piece together the cards I need to get through a barrier, draw their fire, the whole 9 yards. So right now he's only draining for 1. And I pull Battle Plan. So I don't think he's going to pay 3 when he's only activating. 14 is not awful. But I have 12 in my hand. It could be worse. There's a General Jar Jar. I got Rey, Chewie, draw their fire, Luke. I got my favorite card, Protector. I got General Leia. Like I can do a pretty good beat squad right now if he is not careful. Like I got all these characters. Din would add with Jar Jar. Yeah, wow, that's a pretty good hand. So he does pay to drain, which signals to me, he's not planning to do too much else this turn. And he also, because he's got Mara and Vader here now, I can maybe try to dodge around with 3PO and try to not let him get sniped. So he now is apparently going to doomstack the Antechamber, fearing that I might maybe come down with all my guys. This is good. So now I can't come down here, clash and mess or do anything. And he's going to try to corner me. It looks like the plan was. So I can go here to the audience chamber, but then I can't move through it. But that's not really, I don't think, what I want to do. My deck list, I didn't actually play a Neighbor or a Nestor. I just feel like there's too many, I don't know. I feel like the Nestor combo and the Lana combo have been taken down a notch. And in this matchup, I know I didn't need Nestor for Vazin either, but so now it's my turn 3. I think I'm going to make some moves this turn. I have plenty of force to work with. I don't, he can't, with this Hunt Down V, I don't have to fear Maul. I have 7, force my loss pile. He smartly pulled Coward. I get Underworld out. I see I have my 2 other lightsabers in there. Maybe I don't get it. Hey, now I get it out. Here, let me speed this up. So put Underworld out to activate a little bit more. Now it's a 14. I go here with Rey. This was not a great play because it would have been better if maybe I could have put one of the characters that ping with my objective with her. But I definitely wanted to satisfy Coward so I could get the 5 force back. I release Han, and now I'm threatening a drain of 3 and 2. But I don't really, I can try to bait into a counter beat. I'm surprised I actually did this. Looking back, I don't have quite a mercenary to cancel an Ellis. Or no, now I do. Maybe I knew it was there or something. I don't know. Probably not. But I have quite a mercenary virtual, which cancels Ellis. Which, again, him doomstacking this, he's too good of a player to do this and over deploy and get stuck here. So this actually maybe whether I'm recalling this right or not, it definitely tipped off a little bit to me that he's got an Ellis floating around, because he wouldn't do all this and have all these guys stuck here. So it's really good that I had the Strike Block, the Clash, and the Quite a Mercenary. These are all cards that are good for, you know, offense or defense. So he comes down with Fifth Brother. He stacks the card, and I figure, here comes the Ellis. Okay, so I'm going to, do I grab the Ellis and cancel it? I definitely cancel it. Yeah, I grab it. Because what would be bad here is then if I cancel it and then he just deploys no escape, picks it up again, plays it again, that would be the worst case scenario. So those are situations where I will grab Ellis. And now I'm not really too worried about just Fifth Brother because I can clash within the battle. But now that he deployed First Strike, I have to clash because I don't want Ray to die. But I want Ray to be able to get back some cards. He uses Yasan to cancel 3PS text. He doesn't have enough force, I guess, to move kind of this whole crew in enough to reinforce. So they just stay there, and he gets hit with Visage. We're about even. Yeah, we're almost dead even. I think we're one. Are we dead even? 8 cards each. So now I'm going to do round of damage 1 and drain of 2. Did I pay 3 to drain? I got Rose. I retrieve with Ray. I get Jar Jar back. Yeah, drain for 2. And Leia's Gun, which might have been almost a waste of a card. Because now I know with Ellis, he's not really gonna. Either I'm gonna want to like hold it, hold the Leia's Gun for when I need it, or I might never need it. And these are kind of decisions sometimes I can overthink myself with match play of every card that matters. Sometimes you don't want to like deploy a card that, you know, didn't really have a purpose, but. So he drains 4. The min is big, so now min means I can't reduce this. He got rid of the gifts. Now this is what, a drain of 3. I don't have ultimatums satisfied. He comes down with another Inquisitor. Dark Jedi Lightsaber, raising some trouble. He's going to have the First Strike swing. I lose Where's Han from hand. And it's going to start getting tactical. So now he's going to shut off. I think both times I didn't even lose the force because I figured he was definitely going to crack Ray's immunity less than 5 with the high destiny that Hunt Down Virtual has. So he uses min to place Wisa out of play, so I can't cycle it. You know, now that was a good turn for him. And I think this is the turn that I go a little bit off script, and actually I did this against Joe as well, where I put Lando with Axe off Tatooine. But this crew is pretty sweet. So now I play Ant-Man. So this was again, remember I was talking in the first game about Strike Blocked. So I'd play Ant-Man to make him use a force. I have these 2 people, and he's going to go to Clash Din. Because if he clashes Din, he's not really too worried about anything. But now that he spends the 2 force of You Are Beaten, he does that after I deploy Draw Their Fire. So now I know he can't kick. And now I'm going to take the risk. Or not take the risk. And now I'm like, okay, I have an opening. Let me cancel it with Strike Blocked. And I'm going to put Lando down. And now I'm getting 3 Battle Destiny. Because Din adds 1 with another alien, with any alien. Ayla adds 1 with 2 aliens. And I'm getting 3 Battle Destiny. His guy can't swing his lightsaber. He can't play any tricks in the battle. And I go 5/5/4. I knew that Protector was there. I put that down there. He draws a 5, a 6. And now he's going to take, is that 8 Overflow? Which isn't a ton. Because now I think after the life force counts after that. Even after that, I spent that whole turn basically doing that. It was just 2 Emperors. So he's at 15, I'm at 20. And he has 1 more card in hand. So it's still pretty close. But I definitely have better board state right now. But he's not going to be able to respond. And now since we have Draw Their Fire and First Strike out, there's going to be a lot of 4/4 swings. 4/4 swing for every battle. He throws down Ninth Sister, stacks the card. He probably had the Gick, but then playing that You Are Beaten made him not able to then play the Gick in the battle. So that's why I think he has the capacity to kind of like suicide somebody into my Doom stack. This isn't really a Doom stack, it's just 2 characters, but that's why you can make this play and do the 4/4 swing with First Strike and Draw Their Fire. I draw BB-8, and I think, yeah, he has to take 1 Overflow because of BB-8's decimals. Whole site clears. And this then, yeah, I'm on 3x here, so this is speeding along. think we just mostly just trade damage here. I think there might be one more battle that happens. You know, in some of these matchups, I definitely had to be very careful. That could be worse. I did not want to walk into a blowout with an it's worse that you just never know. Sometimes people are playing it. So I just replenish my hand. Get a gift. I can set a gift up again, but there's no point really with Min there. But well, actually, I take that back. There is a point if I can. Oh no, Yasan's there. So she would just break his cover. So he's gonna drain for 3. I play could be worse. He smartly grabs that. You know, now that a place where he only had maybe 6 more to add. Puts Vader there. You know, leaves everybody else there. So now he's threatening more damage. We all got to pay for drains. Because of battle plan, and there's no systems on the table. I ping for 1. I'm gonna drain for 2. Drain for 3. Handle myself. That was big, and that because he grabbed it could be worse, which is a smart play. But now I can cycle that. I think I can handle myself or take care of myself, whatever the card. I changed the name at one point, and now Yoda's big here because not only am I threatening another drain, but now I satisfy coward, so Rose can retrieve. And he's not going to start making some tough decisions. Well, I shouldn't say tough decisions. He either has cards or he doesn't to fight me. So he pays to drain, just working diff here. And I think I had just enough to make it. Yeah, I think I do just enough damage that he can't pay for any more drains. And this is where a match like this favors profit. And at this point, in that free damage is just huge. And big drains, big force drains that only... What's the word I'm looking for? If I can have 1 drain for 3 versus like 2, obviously for 2 and 1, it's just huge at this point of a close game. So I end up trying to 3PO into a used interrupt, but not. So I win by 3. So that was game 1 against Adam. Let's go to the second game of the 2 versus 3 matchup. This matchup was... This might have been the best game I played in the tournament, to be honest. Yeah, I think it was. Because I knew... Him playing Throne Room was a good, a pretty good option for Agents. I think Throne Room is a deck that can put a lot of pressure on Agents, and if Agents doesn't play it right, it can lose very quickly. Especially how this went. So I have Emperor. He, gets to do a do not out, which is smart. I was tempted to sense it, even to lose the 3. But, that would have been huge to not let him get the Jedi Council Chamber out. Really would have set him back. And then, all right. So, yeah, usual Black Sun stuff. I don't miss any of my turns. I learned the hard way one time, way back last year's MPC when I was playing against Desai. I put Square and City on the wrong side, and then they got stuck there. So I'll never make that mistake again against Throne Room or Hitgo. Always make sure that you put the square in between the city and the council chamber, because the Coruscant rules mean that the Caesar's Palace always has to be on the complete opposite side as the Jedi Council Chamber. So now he moves, pulls Yoda, moves Yoda there, so now I can't deploy Emperor because of the text here. So that was good play by him. I'm going to just play coward to make sure that, come here, big coward, so the shield prevents him draining. And now he's shield busted, I think. I don't think he used any. I'm going fast here, but... yeah, actually, I definitely think he's shield busted, because that comes into play. So I just move over. I'm playing very cautious, and this is what I do against Hitko and Throne Room. I don't want to just put out all 3 of my Coruscant battleground sites, because what's going to happen? He's going to put Luke at one of them, and a Saber, and threaten a drain of 3 that I need to respond to pretty quickly, or those drains of 3 can add up. So a couple different ways to do that. U3PO, or Tarkin's orders can mitigate it for a little bit, but it definitely puts pressure on for me to either react, either deal with the drain or set up resistance or do a bunch of things. So I play Masterful Move during his activate phase to get a Gick. Him playing Insurrection, aim high means I don't have to worry about neighboring leads. And this play, I don't think this made me feel really good when he puts Leia on Tatooine, because Leia and her blaster rifle are a problem for this deck. Especially her, she's only deploy 3. If she comes down, you put her. If Light Side puts her down first, really forces me into a decision of putting Shizor's bounty on her, and then if he follows her up with like an EPP, he could take out Shizor and then set me back. Obviously this game I wasn't expecting to. Luke to never hit the table. I think he actually was playing 4 Rebel Scout Lukes, but Leia's gun on Tatooine and Insurrection on the table were awesome. Because now he's just doing this and setting up a drain of where you can pay 3 to drain for 1. And I'm very happy with that trade-off of Leia being over there. So now I go into the beginning of my third turn. I'm going to, doing these small pings. I have Coward to protect that square drain. And I put Django out in order so I can now put Emperor out and pull a Force Lightning. Look at the top. So now I see Emperor on top. So this is big. So I know the Emperor's on top. I move Django into the Jedi Council Chamber. And I'm thinking, hey, even if he attacks Django with someone like an EPP or Lando or Jedi, I might not even take Overflow. And I have the Shizor's Bounty as a bailout. So now he comes down with Ahsoka. And this is actually pretty good because, Ahsoka's going to subtract 1. In the last turn he played Fly Casual, he got Tanev. And this, again, is another key decision point where he's now taking Coruscant. And that's a huge deal in the Hitco and Throne Room matchup. Because if Lightside takes that system, I think I just lose. Because that's one of the best benefits against mains for Black Sun is that their space package usually isn't too crazy. It's usually just maybe a Han Chewie Falcon. Again, with Princess Leia maybe, who adds. And she would be scary if she's on Han Chewie and the Falcon, adding a Destiny. They got Destiny power. That can get out of hand pretty quickly. Or like a Doomstack Tanev. So I draw 6, which becomes a 5. Ahsoka goes lost. Django goes lost. And now I can upload Fett. So this next turn is huge. Where this is not a play I make 2-3 years ago. The way I play out this turn 5 is something that comes from too many games. So now I go grab Greedo. So now I can pair Greedo with Fett. Since I don't have any other bounty hunters in hand, I have Jabba's Space Cruiser. And I'm not activating a bunch because I'm kind of choking myself to not allow him to put his mains on my Coruscant Battleground sites, which I would do it again. He's activating 13. I'm activating 10. And this is where I really think to myself, like, hey, if I don't get rid of Rey and Tanev right now, I might never get the system back. Because now he's going to activate 13. He has to have a character or 2 out of these 6 cards. He's going to reinforce here. And I might never be able to get this system back. And therefore, he's going to have Battle Plan all game. And I'm not going to be able to play Tarkin's Bounty or Tarkin's Orders. And I'm not going to be able to maybe kick him off 2 Battlegrounds so that this drain becomes real because it gets around Coward. So I guess at this point, I just say, hey, let me put the sights out. I need the activation. I don't upload with the Space Cruiser because I need every last force here for Fett, the Space Cruiser, Greedo, and I have Battle Order First Strike to battle for free. So, because again, I just say, hey, I got to get rid of this thing, or I'm in deep crap the rest of the game. So I do this. I have 3 Battle Destiny. I'm getting the attrition ad because of the 7 side for 2 Black Sun agents, and therefore it's not going to be that difficult for me to get rid of Rey and the Tanev and turn on Coward. So I turn off the drain of the square, and also I turn off, he doesn't have Walkling. Obviously, can't play Walkling in Throne Room. Maybe like a Jedi Lev, or I doubt he'd have like effective repairs combo to get back the ship. But I feel pretty good now that Tanev now is buried, and that's probably, or I'm like 99% sure that's his only space that I saw on a verifier too. And even though I got awkwardly Greedo up there in the Space Cruiser, he says, Luke, I guess maybe I felt fine putting these sights out since I need the Force, and I have U3PO to buy me a turn. I have Imbalance to cancel Sorry About the Mess. I have Sense to cancel Quite a Mercenary V. And I feel pretty good that I'm going to be able to cover up this drain. And then this is something I got to deal with. Or I need to get rid of Luke. I'm trying to think what I do. I think... Well, we shall see. Maybe I put U3PO here and just dig for... I'm trying to remember what happens. So yeah, just, do my little drain of 1, drain of 1. Okay, so I put U3PO there to cover it up. Thinking I won't be able to get on 3 Battlegrounds. And then I just draw. Okay, and this is perfect. I draw for the Tarkin's Bounty. So now I can cancel this Luke drain. Which is actually only 2. It's not 3. It doesn't have a saber. I think you whiffed on that. And now I got Shelly that I can throw, the Throne Room. I got Probot I can throw here, make him respond to that. 2 senses for, anything that's really crazy. I can put Decree out to reduce any damage from a do or do not that I might get for senses. Feeling pretty good. We're about even on Life Force. Looks like I got a couple more cards in hand. And again, he has to win this by 8. I think it was the first game was 7 or 8. So he knows he has to win by 8 or 9. I'm not sure the exact number. But I think pretty quickly he, realizes this is going to be a grind, and it's going to be really tough for him to, win by, about 10. CAD, yeah, I'm going to go to 3 battlegrounds, so now I can start drawing with Shadows of the Empire. Got my Voyeur that I can start looping. And I feel totally fine even though I'm on my 0 side and that Luke is out. I don't feel like I need to contest Luke. I got Image of the Dark Lord I can put, not at the Moisture Farm because of Lay of Alderaan, but I could put that at Luke's site and just be like, fine, drain me. You can pay 6 to drain for 2, and I'll just, do my little draw from the shadows and drain at the sewers and drain at Coruscant. I have Shizor's Bounty and not really the capacity to counterbeat at this point, but I feel pretty good. So here comes Obi-Wan. I think this battle... Oh, yeah, Lando. Alright, so Shizor's Bounty, Lando. No, I have the Gick in case I need it for Probot here, but I think what happens is I just take 1 overflow. Lots of good stuff going on with the new interface. So this game, I think, wraps up pretty quickly. Yes, Obi goes, I gotta lose Probot and 1, I think. Yeah, I lose Restraining Bolt from hand. That was a tech card I put in mostly for like BB-8. And maybe 3P on some matchups, but BB-8 can be in a lot of decks. He's really good, and that direct damage can add up in this matchup. Sometimes it might be the best source of damage, or like old allies. It can be like the best source, one of the best sources of damage against Black Sun. So he moves Luke over to back up Lando, knowing that I have a pretty decent sized hand, but I don't really have anything great to counterbeat. I have the Force Push, which maybe that's what I do. Maybe I go get Aura, I think is what happens. So I grab a barrier, he Jedi lives, and then he concedes. So yeah, so even though it's 15 to 18, so I have what, 3 more cards down and 4 more cards. That's a 7. So he realizes that it's just going to be a lot of back and forth. So he concedes and I advance. And that was a good game to Adam, good game to Bob before that. And now I move on to play MHT. Excellent, excellent player. And so this was the 4th match of the weekend, the late Sunday matchup. He had just played 2 really, really grindy games with Drew. I think Drew won the first by 4, maybe. Let me start this. So I think he was understandably. He had like a 15-minute break just to kind of reset his mind. Sits in front of a screen for 3.5 hours, I think it was, between the 2 matches. So this right here, this is I saw in the jump lobby that he's playing Y4O. This is awesome that I could see. So he's a great player. To have a matchup on my side, this is a really tough matchup for Y4O to win. It needs to definitely find its projections really early. And actually, looking at the deck list, MHT played 3 projection of Skywalkers in this when it's a 2-dot card. So that's probably a lot of map right there of, hey, I want to make sure I get my projections early so I can mitigate damage and get set up. But I've always liked Y4O. I think it's a good deck. I shouldn't say I think it's a deck that's hard to lose by a lot. It keeps things close. Map's pretty good now though, which can shut off the retrieval. So it needs to adapt. It needs to have BB-8 or Black Squadron, BB-8 and Black Squadron 1. It just has to have some answers for map. Snap can cancel that drain. But I just drew an awesome hand. The fact that I have Chelly and the barrier here, it wasn't even much of a decision. Like I just knew I had to take the War Room to prevent Dodonna from going down, which would prevent him from not adding to his liberation or freedom draws, whatever it is. I think it's freedom draws. But this is an awesome hand for me to have in this matchup. And I just say, all right, I'm going to put out all my sights as quick as possible. I'm going to throw Chelly here. I got the barrier. I got my Vigo. I'm going to get my sights out. I don't open hand Emperor. And actually in this game, I think Emperor doesn't come out for a little while, but it's a pretty crazy first couple turns. So Chelly goes out. I just say, I'm not going to need to get U3PO back at some point this game, so let me just throw her down. I go to the War Room. And get my Shizor's Bounty. And again, what am I doing here? So I think for some reason I had like a brain fart and I didn't pull the square. I think for some silly reason I was thinking I didn't want it to become a liability like late game if he like lands a ship there. I don't know why I thought that. But I think I had the chance to pull the square and I didn't, which was goofy. So now I look at my force pile and I see Erica. Oh, there's the square. Okay. So that was great to see. So that again kind of dictated how I played, knowing that, all right, let me go get Erica, let me go get Iggy. Leave the square there in case I got to use the force for Caesar's bounty. I mean, I can wipe here, but I need the force for barrier and the force for Caesar's bounty. And this was pretty crazy. So I'm sure he would say if he had to do this again, he just puts one of his 3 projection of Skywalker on the war room and leaves it alone. The deck has enough high destiny, but he comes out with Donna. I'm like, okay. Then he comes out with Hark. So Hark is really big in that, it helps the activation a lot for Y40. But he puts him down here, and that's where I say, all right, I don't want to get Shelly overflowed. So I Caesar's bounty, and then he comes down with my guy, one of my favorite characters, maybe one of my 5 favorite cards, Tarn. And again, this is where I don't make this play unless I have this barrier, but it's very possible he has a barrier canceller, and I don't have a gig. So I barrier Tarn, and he grabs it, and then he has no choice but to just pass the turn. So now I'm sitting here thinking, all right, what am I going to do here? Like, I'm only going to have 10 cards in my force pile. Right? Yeah, 10 cards in my force. Or 9. How do I have 9? Did I draw one? No, I couldn't draw one. Either way, it is my... Yeah. And I have these characters that are 5, 5, 4, and 5 deploy. So I'm like, how do I get 2 of these guys down here and battle? Fet's going to have the maintenance. And I'm looking at these cards and I'm thinking, like, oh, wait a minute. Chelly Afra makes droids deploy -1. And that was huge. Because then I'm like, all right, let me put down Iggy and let me put down Aura for a combined 8. I'm then going to have the force to battle still. I can shoot one of them. I can capture the other. I'm going to get 2 battle destiny. And, maybe just blow this game open with a crazy... weird. So now I look at the top of my reserve and I see a 3 and a 0. I don't have any way to shuffle after. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot somebody with the 3. And then I have this altar collateral damage and he's got a projection. So that's where I play the altar in the middle of the battle. And unfortunately, like I just had a lot of things break right in this game. And he's probably like, what the heck is going on? Everything's going wrong. So this is just one of those games. So then I altar, I draw my... Then this is game 1, obviously. So it's not even like... he's got to enter... cut and diff mode pretty quickly. Not quite yet, but of course, again, I get even more lucky. Everything goes right. I draw the 6 here, capture Tarn, put him on Iggy. This is after I hit Dodonna and took his forfeit from, 6 to 0. And I go 6/6 on the Battle Destiny. And that's the card. Some people have asked me, why do you use Mulsive Infiltrator? It's great drawing the 6. And then just the way that I think Black Sun usually plays its space. And again, everything goes wrong for him. He draws a 1. It's a deck that has a ton of high cards, and he draws a 1. So he's then going to take 13 overflow here. I lose Chelly. And I don't get to retrieve with Caesar's bounty, but that's a trade-off I make. I see his hand. I see 0 threat to the ground. And he's only activating 9 next turn. So he peels a bunch, and obviously he's going to lose a couple key cards in here. Let me speed this up. It's on 1x. Let me go to 3. Yeah, so, I mean, and there was a couple other things in this game that went my way. Like, I think I was able to wipe to activate 1. It was a Dark Time, which I saw, I think, on the battle phase with my 7 side. So I saw that Dark Time was on top. I activated it, I drew it, and then I played that Dark Time to prevent him from successfully liberating a system, which again, so that's like a 2/4 swing right there. And he burned the grabber on barrier. So, and this is where I mess up because he pulls simple tricks. He's shield busted. I think one of these turns I don't drain, just assuming that, I think it's this turn. I think I assume battle plan is out. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, so there's no battle plan out, and I didn't drain. But I have a pretty small hand here. I'm going to put Erica out and start retrieving 1 with her. Again, her bringing that force pile turn 1 was pretty nice. I put out the square. I put it closer to Caesar's Palace in case for some weird reason I need to go defend it. And then I just try to replenish my hand a little bit. I don't need the restraining bolt in this matchup. a couple more cards, a lot of characters, and I think he draws a ship here. Again, it's just like one of those everything goes wrong games. So I'll wipe. Now I play the battle order. Yeah, he draws Gold Leader. So he pays 3 during 1, unfortunately, and now he only has 6 force to work with. He's going to put Grey Squadron 1 out with Taco Bill, and that is, he adds to a force drain, right? Yeah, right? Doesn't it? No. What am I thinking? Maybe Grey Squadron 2? Oh, no, it's Taco Bill non-V. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I go force push. I finally get my Emperor out on turn 4, which is again a trade-off I take for that crazy turn 2 course of events. He's not going to need a second Tarn or Virgins. I get Emperor out. And then I'm just on 3 sites. I'm just going to keep drawing. Now I satisfy simple tricks, so I can drain 2 for here. Not really afraid. There's like basically no way, seeing how little ground, if any, I can barely put, I think Decide made some comment about this matchup here. Agents can put so few cards on the table in this matchup, and with Erica retrieving it can get pretty ugly. Especially with a crazy 13 overflow. So this is where I draw the Dark Time. He draws a 5. Oh, I didn't play it here. I guess I played it on the next turn. All right, so maybe I'm misremembering that. Maybe when he goes to Liberate Coruscant. So let me speed this up. Because then it's just a matter of I'm just going to pay 3 to drain 1 a bunch of times and drain 2 at the War Room. He is just trying to cut some diff. Eventually he lands Poe. Eventually he lands this in front of Emperor just to try to save a diff or 2. But I think the last card in my hand is Boba Fett. Bounty Hunter comes down with Emperor, and I draw 6/6 again, which is crazy. I think that was, I don't know if I call it blind because I probably saw it during the beginning of my battle phase with my objective, but it's just crazy. Then I just overflowed him, and that was where I had 31 left. And I'm just drawing all the cards I need. Voyeur to try to get some more pings, Imbalance to stop a retrieval. Like I said, I have Dark Time comes in, so I don't think I'm gonna go much further with this. But yeah, eventually it was 31. It's just a pretty straightforward. So then, next match. So this is game 6. I'm playing my Prophet against his map. And it's just this gets really wonky because he's like, I gotta win by 32 cards, which is just insane for any matchup. And in my head, I'm like, this is the guy who came back from down 28 to win in the Texas Mini World semifinals. I'm like, I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm not making any chances. But I'm also, let me rephrase that. I knew I couldn't be over aggressive, but I knew I couldn't be under aggressive too, because that's how that's how some weird stuff can happen, I guess. So he had a very interesting map build. Obviously, that deck list is out, but it's got like Walkers and Imperials, and it's very interesting in that he's got a lot of big blue to protect the exterior sites. So with the tramples, that I think I got to verify, and I saw that, so I made sure I didn't put any of my low ability characters out at his exterior site. So we'll speed this up. I have not a great hand. I got some stuff that's pullable. For your combo, I'm not going to need. But more or less, he sets up. I play it really patiently. I think I doom stacked the Antechamber at one point. I think I Someone Who Loves You. And then it's just, best case scenario is he wins by a medium amount. But I think I felt pretty good about even maybe winning this game. Well, maybe I'm misremembering it, but get my Hujix, which is really big against map. Maybe this is a good pace. We're about an hour 1, hour 2, and this will be, we'll be through 60% of the games. So hopefully we wrap up in 90 minutes. Let's see here. All right, so I don't know if this was automatic or is this a new UI thing, or the AI for Jakku, for Darkside Jakku, or maybe he got it in one of the packs and put it in. But regardless, so he is gonna. I remember thinking, I was like, I think he's over deploying the audience chamber, but Map's a little better because Map might have a sense for someone who loves you, which Hunt Down very, very rarely runs a sense. But I have someone who loves you. I need to find a Leia. I'm in no rush. He's doing no damage at all, so I'm just taking my time. I'm going to build my hand. Okay, this is one of the key cards I was looking for all weekend, and I was able to find it and hold it. Quite a mercenary V, make sure he doesn't take advantage of Ellis, and I just draw a ton. And my plan here, this deck only has 2 duplicates. It has 2 Lukes and 2 Whis, so I'm not afraid of Monarch Lost at all, and given that there's no damage being threatened, I just tell myself, I'm just going to draw a ton. If he plays Monarch used, I'll just grab it, build my hand back up. I have... hopefully I'm just able to, I have the capacity to eat a turn or 2 of drains, maybe even 3. If I'm able to play someone who loves you, get 5 back, etc. I have BB-8 to make sure I don't even need to put Luke out, to put Map on its 0 side to make sure my retrieval goes through. And yeah, so now he's going to set up this drain of 3 with Finalizer and Chirnu. Pretty consistent with basically every map build. Someone's face down here. This looks like a glitch on the new UI, and I wish it would let me see who it is. This is Hux. Okay, so Hux is at the AC. So now I'm just like using Force to build my use pile so I can get better pulls. I don't even think my plan. I think I'm just trying to find Leia and set up my BB-8 pings and just make sure I don't get beat here. I grab Rose, so I'm just finding all my key cards. Luke Saber, I have, a gift. I'm going to put a gift on here. Do I have my strike blocked yet? I don't know. Yeah, there it is. All right, so now I have strike blocked for the sniper. And maybe I'm even trying to bait out the sniper now so it doesn't come into play with the battle. But either way, I have some more time to play with here. So even if he drains me for 3, I found my Leia. I have my Someone Who Loves You. I have a Hujix in case Leia gets barriered. I feel pretty good about being able to release Han, run away, and just start, maybe a drain for 2, ping with objective, ping with BB-8, maybe retrieve with Rose if I can get on 2 battlegrounds, but I'm going to be very cautious not to go too horizontal. I don't open myself up to anything. Yeah, the best, I played Desai once in an open game and I feel like everything went right, me playing as Y40, and I lost by like 2. Well, no, I take that back. I hit every single liberation draw, but I did not find my projection of a Skywalker's until too late, and I lost by a couple. But, I think he had a couple things, I forget what happened, but I remember thinking a lot went right, and Y40 still barely lost. So now he's setting up his walkers. Again, this is a really interesting build of Matt. And Matt's a really creative deck builder, an excellent player. I mean, I know we talked about there's going to be a podcast coming out. Quick plug for Bad Deck Breakdowns. I was on it with Adam Trunzo and Kyle Kalin and obviously Matt and Kendall about people who kind of picked up the game and didn't really have any or very, very, very little Decipher era experience. And I'm pretty sure Matt just started playing in like 2010 when there was God knows how many virtual cards out, and I find that really fascinating that the success he had. I think he's got 3 World's Top 8s. I think he was MPC runner-up. I think he won a couple majors, like maybe Texas, and he just seems like an extraordinarily talented player to be as good as he is, given that he didn't have that background. So, all right, I get my layout. I get my Leia's gun. I'm going to play Someone Who Loves You. He's down to 31 face down. I'm going to be able to just, chip away with BB-8, chip away with my objective, mitigate some damage. He might have some things go right and win this by 20. But to win by 32 is just crazy. And that's where it's really everything went right in that first game for me. So now I just have my little mini Doom stack here. He doesn't have Coward pulled yet, but he doesn't really need to pull it yet until my control phase. I think I pull Ultimatum thinking at some point I'm going to want it. But again, just drawing more cards. I got plenty of cards face down, and then he concedes. All right, so that is... yeah, all right. So then I advanced to the final 4, which is pretty sweet. I'm able to, I guess after defeating Adam, I was able to continue the trend. Every MPC now I've gone further. 2018, I was a 12 seed. I lost to Matt Carulli, but it was pretty close. He crushed me the first game, and then I had a big win the second game, so I think it was like a net diff. But so I lost to him. Then the next year, I was a 6 seed. I lost to Justin Carulli, who was a 3 seed, in the second round. 2020, I was a 5 seed and lost to Desai in the Sweet 16 after beating Charlie in the round of 32. And this year, I was a 2 seed and got further than I ever got. So I like that each year I've been getting a little better. So, all right. So now Final Four. We are at 1 hour, 8 minutes. So playing against wirfs. So again, I tried to say I didn't get too much of a preface at the beginning. Tried to talk about things organically. I had a feeling wirfs. I had a feeling. I just assume everyone could play Matt, possibly play Matt, and maybe assume wirfs and Gogolin, maybe they stick with CCT. So again, from the perspective of light, I felt really good about Prophet in all those matchups. So again, CCT Matt, Prophet has a really unique, good matchup, and I know Lenny's in the chat. We've talked about it. It has some weird interactions because I don't play Jabba's Prize, which means that I can't play Someone Who Loves You, but also means he can't use Iggy, IJD8 to tunnel for cards. And he's also flipped the whole game. And yeah, it's an interesting matchup. So I was honest, and I swear, I said this in the chat. So this was just about starting right at noon, right after we made sure we got the right Chris into the league after Taco Bill put Chris Kelly in the Final Four accidentally. I had the bagel bites going for my daughter. I ran to the kitchen, turned off the stove, took the bagel bites out, came back, played a turn, and then I was like, wait a minute, why does he have that grabber out there? Like does he know this isn't solo? And even if it is solo, why is he pulling that card? So it was just like, it would have been weird to just make a revert and go back like a full turn. But he did have plenty and one thing we'll see in this game, I think, and he said it too, like he did not have the best shield plays. Secret Plans never hit the table. His grabber never hit the table. And Battle Ordering, Come Here, You Be a Coward, did hit the table and didn't do anything. But I definitely made a handful of mistakes in this game too. So he takes the approach, he's going to doom stack the AC, which against map, the only matchups I don't, let me put it this way. If Darkseid stacks the AC, I'm only really concerned if they're Court or Hunt Down. Because Hunt Down can never put out a Battleground then, and I'm really, tied up. So I need to find Someone Who Loves You in order to get any damage to like the whole game basically. And Court doesn't put out any non-Tatooine Battlegrounds. So that's where I have to find Someone Who Loves You. So Someone Who Loves You is an absolute key card, if only for it makes those matchups not like really, really tough. CCT has this juicy Battleground here of Carbonite Chamber where I can go and drain for 2, 3. So I had no problem with him stack. He's got no cards in his lost pile. He can retrieve things, but I'm completely okay just building my hand, finding the key cards. And I think in this matchup, I think I do take the approach. Maybe I play cautiously. Maybe I respect that he doesn't have that he might play Monarch. And there I got my little Y-Wing. So this guy's going to be the star of the game. We'll get into it. I like this guy. So I go, I'm just drawing. So I'm basically taking the approach like I mentioned. I'm just going to draw a ton. If he Monarch uses me, I'll just grab it. I'm not too worried about Monarch lost. He maybe sets me back a turn or 2 or 3, but he's not doing any damage. He doesn't have You'll Be Dead. I can go from there. So I now have a 19 card hand. I have a lot of cards I need. I have my Landing Claw. I have my ship. I can't even see all these. Maybe I'll do. I know sometimes people say the feedback. We'll do the not full. That doesn't really help. When you got 19 cards in your hand, it's hard to see. Oh man. All right. So so I have a lot of the cards I need. He plays Artillery, which I'm tempted, but I don't grab it. I know my grab in this game is Voyeur. I do not want to get burnt by Voyeur. He gets Jabba's Haven out. He gets now Hutta. He gets no You'll Be Dead. So now he can start chipping away at me. I just toss Someone Who Loves You because that card is mostly a dead card. It could be used to save Han or Leia in a pinch, but not likely. He now has, was that 8 characters? 8 characters at the AC. He's got Iggy there. I think it was a good play for him to have Guri downloaded by Duro and then just wait on Probot. You definitely don't want to put Probot out because he's just likely going to get killed, but of course, CCT can get people back. It can get Scum retrieval. It can get retrieval of the objective. Chelly can retrieve. But yeah, so he's threatening 2 damage here. And use Control Tunnel Vision to grab quite a mercenary to make sure he doesn't Ellis those people out at any point. And I definitely think in this matchup I held on to that card for too long because I was afraid of an Ellis Hellrot beat. What did I grab? So I grabbed Hujix, knowing that he's got 12 cards in hand. He probably has a bunch of aliens. The power can get up pretty quickly. Get the Y-wing out. He's got the space cruiser. He barriers it. I get, and maybe that's a good barrier. Given what happened later in the game, that's not a crazy barrier. Get my landing claw. Usually I like to try to make sure I have something to back up a Git combo or like a sense or a Baragwin to retrieve it. I guess I definitely have a Hujix, so like worst case scenario, he cancels the claw and I can't run away. That's fine. But there's definitely a lot of times in this game where I'm like, oh, I guess he doesn't have that card in his hand. And like imbalance combo, I was kind of anticipating him to have Ellis. I think he had close call in his deck list for the first couple matches, but didn't. So now he's pulling again. So there's no reason for him to pull Coward here because I'm just going to detach and then retrieve throws. Resistance was good, so now I can't drain for 3 here. And I'm just, so I play Visor Vision. And I see that Gik is on the bottom of this, and I make it lost. But I definitely want to do that in a place where I could then put some cards on top of it, which is what I'm going to do here. Because I want to bury that Gik combo. Not positive he plays 2. Either that Gik combo comes back somehow. You know what I think he does? I think he puts Chelly. And then uses Chelly to move the Git combo to the top. Again, battle order doesn't make sense yet. I mean, maybe if he gets rid of my landing claw, but I'm just going to detach and satisfy it. He tosses Stinger. He's going to toss his another ship. And this is what I thought, one of the worst ways to lose would have been if I ever forget to attach. So I basically played it safe. Or another thing, as I looked up the rules, Darkseid could sniper Dark Strike a unattached ship, but he can't sniper Dark Strike if it has laser cannon battery, which I think I saw Joe had in his list. So I was like, oh, I want to make sure I'm not getting too cute with leaving whatever ship it is, and let it get shot. So that's where I wanted to always make sure, unless I need to be detached to satisfy battle plan, to satisfy Coward, I can reattach during my own control phase at the end of my control phase, and doing it so I don't forget. I think one time I played wirfs in an event one time. It might have just been an open league, and I forgot to reattach. I remember it was wirfs, and I just got blown out. So he gets Probot out. He's going to kill the gift. I pretty much expected this to happen. As long as Probot's parked there. So this move signals to me that he only is playing one Gik, that he's stacking this. I do have kind of the cards to piece together. I got Anakin. I could find, I got Din. Like, I could even Chewie. Chewie would help against Forlom. Like, I was tempted to do that, I think, against, like, Clash Mara, maybe Chewie Forlom, Slice Jabba. Like, there was a way that I could have beat him up here and caused overflow, but it definitely had some, like, risk to it. But this was, I think, good of him to make sure to not open himself up, at least at this point of the game, to not leave himself vulnerable to any type of beat. So he's got a Doom stack at the AC, and I'm basically telling myself, well, there's no way I'm going to get Han. Han is done for this game. And let's see, it's my activate turn. He's going to wipe. And now I have Rose retrieving. I got Jedi Ray retrieving. I got a drain of 2. I got battle plan satisfied. I got Coward satisfied. And this was we both got under, I think, like 3-4 minutes maybe. This was a really long game. Thank God replays go a little faster. And I could maybe jump ahead at one point too. But, we're basically trading damage of 2 and 2 and retrieving, or 2 and 3. This, I think I was watching the stream real quick. Yeah, this wasn't a good play. I basically told myself, all right, well, I got a Hujix. So worst case scenario, he comes down against Ray. I'm not going to take overflow. But I definitely needed one more trick. I had Mess combo, and I had Clash. Or no, do I have Clash? Oh, I think I have Clash. This sucks. Yeah, I do have Clash. All right, so I have Clash and Mess. But, maybe this is a little greedy. Maybe I should have waited another turn before I tried to force more damage through. There's a lot of just cycling, finding the cards. I know I'm going to probably want Jar Jar and Wisa to get rid of U3PO at some point. So now I have both of them in my hand. I got BB-8 I can throw out, start pinging with him. But I think if he came down with anybody besides Cad and 2 bounty hunters, I think Ray would have been okay. But, he came down with Aura and Cad, and I think it was Greedo. So that was where I was in a bit of a pickle here, and then I lost Ray, and I probably would have been much better off just waiting a turn and putting somebody else with her. So I clash Aura. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, even though he has 4 force left, I think I knew he had Greedo. Or no, well, he has got Zam. He played 2 Greedos in this deck. Big power difference here. Well, now I clash. All right, so I'm down exactly. There's no point to playing mess here with him having 4 characters there. If he had 3, the mess would have been good, but otherwise I'm just losing 2 cards. One of them a very good card. For what reason? To maybe kill 1 extra character, but I didn't have I think I had Lando at this point. Did I have Lando? Yeah, no. So I didn't have any spies. Obviously he's Clash. So I think he smartly, I think, lost someone even though he didn't have to. If I'm doing that right. Just to make sure he didn't leave himself open to a beat if I put a spy here. So again, we're going to do this dance where I detach, I retrieve, I drain, and then pass the turn to him. We're both around 20 life force. I have 5 more cards in hand than he does. And that little Y-Wing that could keeps attaching, reattaching. Yeah, so I have this on 3x. This is going as fast as it can. So I got a Jedi left for Rey, put BB-8 out, put General Jar Jar out. And I got the stack. So I'm preemptively waiting for U-3PO so I can Wisa him. I got, a ping, a drain for 2 points of retrieval, and I got a pretty, formidable thing that he can't really attack into really well, and especially since he still has that kick on the bottom of his lost pile. So out comes U-3PO. Obviously he doesn't know I have Wisa, or isn't positive I have it at least. So I do that during his draw phase. U-3PO's on the top. Gonna try to bury that. I found my Baragwin, which is good in case he does, have another second kick combo or a way to get rid of the landing claw. I can get it back with the Baragwin. Detach, speeding along. Actually, I can just use the scrub bar here. So he's got projected telepathy, something I need to know to play around. Rose, Ray. That's actually, that retrieval with Jedi Ray is interesting because it presents you with some choices. He at one point he voyeured me for both Wisas and made them lost. And then I think I went to retrieve both. So I got guaranteed I got one of them back. So I grabbed the voyeur. Yeah, this is when he did it for the 2 Wisas. Just looking for key cards, looking for it could be worse. I probably, again, was maybe overly conservative. I might have held that it could be worse for a turn when I didn't, just out of respect for an it's worse. That might blow the game open. Again, I'm holding this quite a mercenary combo. I've been holding it all game in case he Ellis's, this stack over. But even then, I shouldn't be too worried. He now takes the approach of I don't want to let this drain of 2 get to me. So if I can contest it, I'm only doing 1 damage and 2 retrieval then. So he's going to move, all 4 bounty hunters. So he's got 4 bounty hunters at the Carbonite Chamber. And this turn, I did not. This is a bad turn for me. And this I actually thought I was going to lose the game. I didn't save enough, for sure. I was maybe in my head about the mass combo. I think I was afraid of, maybe he's got imbalance combo. And I was also afraid, if he gets U-3PO back, I was definitely talking myself in circles, and this can happen I want to make sure that U-3PO doesn't beat me. I want to make sure that I don't waste my start about the mess combo just to have it canceled. And then I think I talk myself into inaction then. So I go down with Chewie, Din. I bait the barrier with Din. But now I battle, and I'm going to lose Din, and this isn't that great. I'm only up 11, but he's got an extra destiny. I don't have enough force, I think, for I can swing once. Whatever, this battle did not go well. I think my destinies were really low too. I think I had a 1, 2, maybe 4, 4. There's that control tunnel vision. Now here's the downside of control tunnel vision. And he draws a 7 and a 3. So I had to lose, 3 things, including a Baragwin is kind of key. Losing Jar Jar, which is kind of key, because now I lose my Wisa protection, and Din now is unbarriered. But now I'm feeling pretty good. I'm hoping that I can just keep retrieving, building diff gradually. I don't think I want to try to set up a gift another time. Just have it cancel. I play my It Could Be Worse. He can't grab the It Could Be Worse, which I attach. He gets Chelly. He moves U3PO. Okay, so he gets U3PO out. I don't know. Somehow he got that gift combo. There it is. Maybe it was the second one. And now I don't have the Baragwin. All I have is Hujix, and this is where definitely go off script. So now I'm in a predicament. I got my Hujix worst case scenario, but this isn't good. If I lose battle plan, if I lose my second battleground, things are going to get a little iffy. He's got U3PO back out, and this feels bad. Even though I'm up, he has a better board state right now. So I control tunnel vision to get Lando. And this is where, like I said, completely off script. I did not intend in any battles. That's why I used Deploy 1, Destiny 3, Y-Wing with Hyperspeed 4 to get between Jakku and Dakar and Starkiller Base. And that's where I just said, you know what? Let me try this. I think I knew the Destinies were 4-4-3. And again, I was still fearing the close call from him. And I was just cross my fingers, didn't have it. I knew I just need to draw 6 in order to eliminate the ship as well as Hondo. And I go 3-4, cross my fingers that he doesn't. Or even if he had the close call, he could have saved the ship. And then I lose Lando to attrition, and now little Y-Wing's holding down Nalhada, which is just he tossed some of his ships earlier. I think he might have retrieved them with the objective, but it's just an interesting board state. I got a Doom stack here. He's got a Doom stack here. He's got Jabba's Palace with a Drain of 2. He's retrieving. I'm retrieving. This is just a wild board state, and then there's a lot of thinking back and forth here. And I think he realizes that I don't have much to gain by sticking around at the Carbonite Chamber. Let me run away. And either he definitely wanted to keep working diff, and definitely didn't want to open himself up to a beat because what I have 4 cards in hand, I have enough force to work with. I could have cleared all those guys, but I don't know. Maybe if I clear him, it's an iPlay mess, so he does the imbalance combo. And now U3PO is going to live here, but I'm holding on to this, and I think I either hold it or have held it. Maybe I should have just played that instead of mess. At this point of the game, yeah, that was a bad play. I should have realized there's no way he's going to Ellis here. But what if he does? What if he Ellises and then moves these guys? I don't know. I was overthinking it again. But I put Obi-Wan here in case he does come back with a ship. I know I have that 2-for-1 exchange in my back pocket if I need to. And now I'm going to start looping the Visor Visions, which is, again, another reason why the grabber. So it's kind of weird. Like I said, if that happened, if I was sitting at my computer and I saw him pull this, I would have been like, you sure? But it got through a turn, and then, like I said, he admitted it. He pulled 2 of these shields that I think the battle order actually came back to hurt him. And the coward I don't think was ever really a factor because of the landing claw. So this is now just grinding diff. I'm at 11. I'm going to get some back. He puts down Ellis. Gets the power +3 from Despair. Good thing I have Obi for forfeit fodder, but I also get Lando back again. Knowing that I could probably throw Lando back up there and get the extra ping with never mind. I'm not getting any pings. What am I talking about? Han is not going anywhere. But that would be kind of neat to put Lando up in space and detach. Or Chewie doesn't make quite as much sense because I still need to get a Battle Destiny in a pinch. But Lando will come back down here. I'm gonna, draw a couple Destiny, eliminate Ellis and Hinthrow. Let me speed this up. And Lando comes out. I go to battle. I draw a 3 and a 5. So obviously no overflow, but now I'm going to be the one who's holding battle order, oddly enough. This is something. Now I finally burn the Quite a Mercenary. I break E3's cover. And I'm feeling pretty good about winning the game now. It's just a matter of how much. And let me just speed this up as we're approaching 127. So he's just going to drain for 2. He's going to retrieve. We just go back and forth, and eventually I win by, I think it's 11 or 12. Yeah. All right. So let me hop out. Nothing too too crazy. So a little wiving that could. It's the story of this game. All right, so next game we got here. History. Wirfs. So this deck, this EOPS, I definitely wanted, I was afraid, to be honest, that There's Good in Him would just destroy my Black Sun deck. So I couldn't even play it. And Watch Your Step versus Agents, also kind of a tricky matchup. I don't feel great about it. I think it's winnable, but I definitely wanted something that used Imperial Arrest Order, was my approach, as like a zag from what I've typically been playing. So Stubley offered up this deck. I was debating about ROPS most of the week. I saw that Shaw and Charlie and a couple other people played ROPS. I know Nick Reich is really good with it. And I think Shaw and Charlie were both upset playing ROPS. So part of me was like, maybe ROPS isn't ideal, but I know ROPS is good versus Watch Your Step. It's not great against maybe Prophet. I like playing Prophet against ROPS, especially if you got projections. But yeah, so maybe they just ran into some tough matchups. So this deck's got some Starship Weapons. It's got Ominous Rumors. Ultimatum exists, so that's pretty much always going to come out, and Light Side's pretty much always going to be able to satisfy it. Tig might have a little harder time doing it, but obviously the goal here is flip, get through Space Drains, and my plan with this deck was I didn't need it to win by 20 or even 15. My approach, and this is probably with some really, really good players, will say this is a bad approach. My approach was I need a deck that won't lose by a lot, because I felt really good about my Prophet in the meta. And I felt like I could, maybe I'm overly confident, but I felt like I could beat anybody by 15 with that deck. And I was always hoping to go first with it. And I was able to make that decision all the way up and through the championship, which Joe picked Darkside to go first, which I was happy about, because I did not feel as good about Darkside. So figured I'd do this before he puts down any people to control an Endor site, and therefore I couldn't deploy Ominous. I'd have to start picking a fight with a couple smugglers. I think my hand was really good. Yeah, I had Black 2, which is really good in this matchup, so they can't substitute. This deck pulls a lot of the key cards with Ominous and Establish and Admirals, and obviously pairs up your ships and pulls your docking bays and whatnot. And I guess I activated Korlog, which is why I didn't pull it. Yeah, there it is. I drew it. Let me speed this up. So again, I was anticipating this Watch Your Step Wirfs, similar to obviously just Human Nature. I suspected it'd be pretty similar to what he played in the early rounds with stuff like Cantina Brawl, which is a pretty scary card against a player as good as Wirfs who can track it around and really create a beat out of it. Ultimately, I see that this is his deck that I've seen him play a bunch with like 2x Chewy Enraged and APP Han, and it's a huge beats deck. It's got a little less ships, obviously. Less matching ships. It definitely leans a little more on wild card than some other Watch Your Steps will. I definitely saw that on a Verify, and that's where I definitely played it overly conservative with eventually moving out to this platform, because I don't think I had a gig for a long time. I would have felt like the biggest schlub ever if I, walked into a big beat on turn 2 or something. So I got the barrier here, but I don't have a gig in case. I knew he had a barrier canceller in his deck from the first couple rounds. I got Darth Tyrannus here eventually to make sure that R2D2V or K2SO don't come down here and just battle damage Overflow Emperor. But Force Push is good because I can just get out of every battle. So probably definitely another instance of I was playing overly conservative, maybe gave away some diff, but fortunately it didn't cost me the match in this. And that will be basically the story for, I think, the next game, and Joe will probably agree. I feel like I left 4 or 5 diff on the table in that Prophet ISB game, and that would have been really big come the second game. But yeah, so I put Tyrannus here again. I'm just afraid of a couple smugglers coming down. He can't draw 2 Battle Destiny in any battle because I'm flipped. Yeah, this is probably some. I played this deck maybe 3, 4, 5 times, maybe not even. Maybe it was like 3 times. I played it against Stubley in playtesting, and then played with it a few times. But I'm making a trade-off of playing a meta choice over a deck that I was super comfortable with, which usually backfires. I don't think that was the reason why I didn't do a little bit better than I ended up doing. But yeah, so now he's got set up. He's got Ultimatum working, so Ominous Rumors is going to be useless. Not useless, it'll add 1. But if he gets fades out, that's a problem. I cancel this, and I do it during my activate phase so I can then bury it with a Drain. Or if he had only had one force save, so he either's got to use that force to grab or to retrieve with Walkling, which opens up, means he has no barrier. So now I'm just going full bore at the system here. I got Fet, I got Fel, I'm getting 3 Destiny, I got Fodder with Mahdi and Ozzel to make sure I don't get stuck on a counter beat. I do the exchange to get spin in case I need it, or watch your back. And I will need it to make sure that I can eliminate the ship. So feel pretty good about this, that I have, Tatooine on lock, knowing, making sure that just refusing to let him set up Celebration. I got my drain of 2 at Endor, and I definitely am paying for these drains, and I really shouldn't. I should just move Tyrannus out and just know that I force push. I know he's not going to have a sense for it. He's not going to have a character. Force push. Sometimes you got to make sure you don't have Vader, and then down comes Qui-Gon, and then you can't force push out of the battle as a defensive move. That wouldn't be an issue here because these guys both have the max ability of 7. So definitely a misplay that I'm got 2 characters that are basically fully immune for all intents and purposes, and I just have them hanging out in the bunker. So that was a bad play by me. But I got the SFS cannons, which are good. Definitely there's 2 of them, definitely cards that I might want to force push or Tarkin's Bounty for. In this game and the next game against Joe's Watch Your Step, there's not much there's nothing to gain for darks. This dark deck especially to try to attack on Tatooine. They just have way too many tricks. Barrier, it's a trap. Run Luke Run, Blasted Door Kid. There'd be no net gain in trying to challenge that those Tatooine sites. All right, so we're going 2x here. I'm just going to keep cramming through these drains, working the diff down, getting to a point where, either I can win an arrow 1 or lose by, 10 or less. So out comes Vader. I now get, I wouldn't say I go horizontal here, but I definitely go 2 and 2. Both pretty strong. Vader with another Black Squadron pilot. I got Fel with his guns. Just knowing, hey, I'm not going to let you get Tatooine no matter what. This is something I've said this on one of my other streams. Good Watch Your Step players, like wirfs and Joe and many others, they're so good at using those control tunnel visions. I would just always just use them for canceling force drains, but they use them very patiently, cautiously, more so to get key cards out of the force pile. And maybe he got a barrier canceller this time, because it's really tempting to be like, oh, let me just play this card and cancel your drain of 3, but it's way better. Evidently, it's seemingly often, whatever qualifiers, it seems often better to get a key card in a key spot that can swing the game. So he's got some crazy maneuver on this thing. I'm tempted to grab a few maneuvers, but I basically tell myself, hey, a few maneuvers here. I'm going to shoot that thing down next turn. I'm really happy he played the a few maneuvers, figuring he probably doesn't have a second one in that 2-card hand. So I'm going to shoot this thing down on my turn, as long as he doesn't draw super well where he clears all 4 of these things. So I lose Fet, Slave 1, and Fel, but I have Yor in here. I have Jendon, who normally I think they can draw 3 Battle Destiny together. But with the Tatooine system capping, that's not going to happen. So I go draw pretty high, 5, 6, and then I spin for another 6. So I'm going to force some battle damage here and make him make a decision of losing a character or peeling a bunch. And peeling a bunch, given the situation here, would be huge. So he loses Han, and I have to lose 3 of the pieces. Let me speed this back up. So now I just have an empty Saber 1. He's got Wedge on booster and R2-D2. I know I can track that Dark Maneuvers around, which is exactly what I do. Track it around. Hope that he doesn't have any type of... It doesn't have a second of a few maneuvers or some other trick. But even another few maneuvers, I don't think we'll save him here. Since, I don't know, maybe you will. No. Let me pause. I don't think it would save him. But either way, I shoot, kill pull. So now I'm knocked off Pulsar Skate and Wildcard. Tatooine Celebration goes down. And what will happen here? So we're on turn 6, end of my turn 6. He shuffles up. I think he's trying to make sure, or try to pair up. Knows that one of the pairs to the top part of the reserve deck. Uses is for a force shield pull. I think he played perimeter scan early, so I don't think he's busted. But he's able to pay 3 to drain or pay 6 to drain for 4. He whiffs on matching, and now he's probably digging for either dash or outrider, whichever pair he has to pair up. But he will. What do I do here? I think I reinforce. I think I finally moved Tyrannus out. God, I better. I definitely saw like 2 Chewy Enraged in his reserve deck at one point, and I was like, I gotta, I played overly cautious seeing those and seeing that he could coordinate a pretty big beat. So, move Tyrannus out finally. Thinking if I need to spread and utilize Ominous Rumors, maybe it wouldn't even matter. Because he's going to be on these 3 sites the whole time. So he comes down here. I think he forgets that he said a comment about Turner's going to kill me. He pays 3 to spin from Lost Pile, and Black 2 cancels it, and then I think he concedes here. I think he realizes I'm going to just be able to chip away, and he's not going to be able to win by 11. It's definitely not with Celebration. I don't think there was even a Kessel run in this. So I advanced to the final. All right. So the MPC 2021 final, me versus Joe Olson. All right. So he picks ISB first. So Joe's world champ, excellent player. I'll never forget when basically the first competitive game I played when I came back to the game in 2017, played a bunch of locals, started playing online, and then once the OCS started in 2018, I was like, all right, this is cool. That was a little more on the line. And the very first game I remember I played against Joe in February, it was like the day before the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He played CCT, I played Prophet, he kicked my butt, and then I think he went on, he beat me. He was like 6-0. He definitely was 6-0 against me in the OCS for the first couple of years, but been able to do better against Joe more recently. He had a really flattering comment to say about me and Stubley and some other people back on the Hollow Theater year-end review stream, when he was like, we're going to see someone like J Knapp or Stubley win a major this year. And that's really, I remember that. And coming into this matchup, I was like, oh, how ironic it would be if this all kind of came together. But unfortunately, didn't piece it all together. But so this matchup, Prophet versus ISB. This is why I love Underworld contacts, not contracts. I play 7 aliens in this build. So now I switched. So I didn't talk about this much in the worst game, but I definitely switched up from a more aggressive Prophet build to a more control build in the final 4. Utilizing, I didn't have Landing Claw on the others, and I definitely had a more aggressive build. But mitigate damage, make sure I satisfy battle plan, and late game lean on Light Rose and Ray, and lean on some of the components of Prophet to find key cards when I need them. So he sets up here. This is a big blue version. Reminds me a little of the Baroni build that I would see a lot, but Baroni's build usually had the Executor and Bespin. It's interesting, but I considered ISB too. ISB, ROPS, like something very Imperial. Lots of Imperials is what I was looking at for Final 4. Get a quick revert. He flips. He's got a walker out. I even debated not putting the farm out, thinking it might be a bigger liability than benefit. Thinking, maybe I can play this kind of slow and then just build a force pile and then not need the moisture farm activation, which is probably pretty radical thinking. But so I whiff on Visor Vision twice. This is the first time. He fished out Monarch and then played it used. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, this is definitely my grab this game. I'll never forget I played against Johnny Chu back in like September of the 2018 OCS. I think he was playing his QMC. I was playing his Coruscant CRV. He drew a ton of cards. I played Evader Monarch, and I was like, oh, this is great. I just played used Monarch against Johnny Chu. He just grabbed it. Next turn, drew up a ton. And then he just had all the cards he needed for the rest of the game. And I think when there's certainty that the Monarch or the Grimtosh are out of the equation, it's like crazy. Because then you're just like, I'm just going to draw a ton, especially early in the game. And that was one way I talked about this a few times. I played against Eric Hunter in the MPC Constellation Bracket semifinals. And I played Changing the Odds. No, it was Podracer Collision to get rid of his Grimtosh in a Hunt Down versus Throne Room matchup. And that enabled me from like turn 2 on to just draw everything I needed. I just drew a ton of cards, and I had all the answers. And that's where now that I know Monarch, unless he's playing 2, which there's only one person I know who plays 2 Monarchs in anywhere in the last couple of years, Mr. Brian Spate. But pretty sure he wasn't playing 2. So he's now setting up a lot of pressure. I only have 1 card in my lost pile. I have 19 cards in my hand. He's now just going to fortify this drain, which is going to be a drain of 3. He's got a drain of 3 Akashic. I'm not going to be able to satisfy Ultimatum anytime soon without opening myself up to a beat at least. So this is bad news bears for me. Well, I shouldn't say that. I have some answers, but it's definitely forcing me to address the situation because 2 turns of this is big trouble. 1, I can probably mitigate with my retrieval at the audience chamber for freeing Han. And so first I'm going to go Rey and her saber. And then I think I'm going to, again, the usual drill, fish out the key cards, set it up. ISB, and this I think played in later in this game, ISB for recently has been a big error. It has the capacity to be a beats. There's the Y-Wings come back. Especially but that's more so when the Imperial Squares started and when you see a lot of troopers. This wasn't that build. But mentally, I think I was still in the mode of ISB can bring a beat very quickly and efficiently. Don't get stuck in setback. So I definitely, again, played overly conservative, talked myself into it, and that's where I know late game I didn't satisfy Ultimatum when I could have, or I didn't take advantage of the fact that he couldn't find Decree V. He's at 9 cards in hand. Did I? No, he didn't. So I was definitely because it seemed like he was fishing for Decree V at one point, maybe even Decree non-V, which was in the deck. Might have been a couple other cards where I was like, oh, Joe's probably really searching for this card right now, and I'm lucky he hasn't found it yet. But cannot think of what exactly right now. Maybe it'll come back to me. So now he's got Vader. So now this is a drain of 4. Since Large Moisture Farm V, a Vader and a Trooper there, it's 4 strain +1. Plus he's got the ISB bonus. And now he's putting pressure on here with Ozzel being an agent. So now he's threatening 2, 2, 4, 2. That's a lot. What is that? 10? Luckily I'm covering this drain up, but of course Joe, being a really good player, plays around that next turn. He gets the shuttle out, so then he's on just a lot of locations, and he doesn't have Coward, because, right, it wouldn't make sense for him to pull Coward. So I would detach, get some force back, get around to damage in with, it's only going to be 1, and I pay for it, I guess. No, do I pay for it? Probably not. I retrieve with Rose, I ping, I attack. Yeah, so I don't pay the 3 during 1. I want to make sure I get my second alien out to turn on Underworld Contacts, which I do with General Jar Jar. If I have 2 aliens at a Tatooine site, you can't modify it. A gift, at first, you might think, oh, it's not going to help versus the aliens, and he probably has undercover spy protection, so it's useless, but we'll see. Or it could be useless. I hung on to it and actually came into play a little bit later in the game. So, he's at 22 cards down. I'm at 23. A quick revert. I've got 17 cards in my hand. The board state looks ridiculous in that he's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations, and I'm on 1 right now. But I just have these alternative means of retrieval and pinging. Drain of 2, ping of 1, retrieve 2, satisfy battle order, satisfy coward, have a bunch of answers in hand to kind of be proactive. So I'll speed this up to 3x. This is a control version with a lot of annoying cards. Sater. Now this turn I was kicking myself too. This is where I think I left some diff on the table. Because what I should have done, I should have not lost 4 force. I should have burned Leia first. I don't know what I was thinking. So now I didn't use Leia, and I didn't use It Could Be Worse on the drain of 4. I guess I wanted to put more cards in my lost pile. Yeah, so maybe at that point it didn't make sense. I should have used It Could Be Worse on the 4. Because it wasn't like I was ever going to have the good problem of having more retrieval options than cards in my lost pile. So the sequencing here wasn't good. I don't think I optimized the It Could Be Worse, the Leia, the retrieval, the different aspects. And, every card of diff comes into play with match play, especially in close matches. So, the little Y-Wing that could. So now my Grimtosh used here. I think Joe might have made a comment about how I played a lot of annoying cards. This is an annoying deck, but as long as map's in the meta, I don't feel bad about playing annoying cards because that deck is brutal. So yeah, so he smartly, optimizes his space trains, leaving the Starfighter at Kashyyyk. I was tempted to do what I did last game, of detach, maybe try to throw Lando up there and try to, eliminate, draw a 7 or more, but if there's a barrier or something like that, it could backfire. And I did see a steadfast earlier in the game, so with the Decree non-V, he could always throw a Star Destroyer here. Turn on, even though I have Landing Claw, he can turn on Decree V, or Decree non-V, shut down my lightsaber drain. This is going too fast for the game. This is, so yeah, so it's definitely a legitimate threat that he can turn on Imperial Decree and take away some damage from me. But I guess, again, that might have been one of the cards I was like, maybe didn't find steadfast for a while. So come down with Luke, I got a Clash and a Mess in hand. I didn't want to go against Kier because Kier could cancel either of those in a battle. So I figured I'd hold off on that. Come down here. If I drew a little higher in this battle, which I think I drew low, which that's what happens. That's the game. Especially when I was making some trade-offs with Lower Destiny, annoying cards like Ready and a Y-Wing and a Landing Claw and a Control Tunnel Vision. So I think I draw a 1 here. No, it's only 3. All right, so he only has to lose 1 in addition to Marzik. So that's big that he doesn't have to burn a Gik, because now he can still afford to be, at the Endor landing platform, he's got no worries. So I think I saw in the Twitch chat real quickly, like, oh, that was a dead card. Why did Jared do that at gift? Because, I wasn't going to do it unless I had the sense for the trample, or if I was able to, like, changing the odds to get rid of the trample, or Visored Vision to get rid of the trample. Like, I wasn't going to put 3PO right in front of a walker knowing that he's going to get trampled immediately. But I wanted to get it set up so that I could. And then I think it's this turn, yeah, so he's got 3 cards in his reserve. He shows me Masterful Move combo, Trample, and Decree non-V. And then he went to Surface Defense for it. I sensed that to make sure he couldn't. Yeah, here we go. So then I popped the Trample with changing the odds. And then I'm like, okay, well now I can use 3PO as an undercover spy. Obviously, Yasan actually comes out and cancels that, but at the very least, I trade my gift for saving 2 damage. I sense the Surface Defense, draw my Barragman. He comes down here. Good thing I saved the Mess, so I'm going to Mess Callus. I think it was a pretty easy call to peel 5 instead of losing Luke, because at the very least, now I'm going to get a drain of 2 plus another ping with Profit. So I'm only down net 2 after 1 turn, and as long as Luke sticks around, then it definitely pays for itself. So I end up peeling it. He's got the close call. Still has to lose. If I drew a 3 there, that would have been bad. Because then he probably could have reinforced that site, not lost Blizzard 4, and I wouldn't have that damage coming from Luke. All right, so now I move 3PO out. At this point, I probably should have put somebody in the antechamber. I think my thinking was, as I play, I think this is the second time I whiff on Visored Vision. I saw Bastion made a comment that I should have known. Like, why didn't I name the interrupt that I knew was in there? And he's definitely right. I probably whiffed. Sometimes you play these annoying cards, you can't keep everything straight at the... and that's where I was kicking myself, because as we'll see, there's 1 turn late that Joe has just enough. He has 1 more card to squeeze out another full round of damage, which I'll call it at least 4, if not like 6. But of course, there's so many things down the Jenga towers. It's not a straight line to every force through a decision here translates to a force at the end of the game. So, but I definitely feel like it was pretty close to leaving a handful of items on the table, because whiffed on Visored Vision draws. He did play commands. I just kept whiffing on him because he had him in his hand. But so all right, so now I come down here. I see an opportunity with Din and Lando for 6. This is off script. Someone made a comment I saw on the Twitch that, yeah, like a Nevar Yalnal here would have been bad. That would have been bad. But I still have the Hoodix in worst case scenario, but that would have been huge. But Joe would have drawn a 2, it looks like. I don't know. He's shuffling, he's playing command. But I forced out a Gik here with my alien combo here. Buddy cop duo of Din the Bounty Hunter and Tamtail Screech, who I guess made this a comment elsewhere, like for these, I made a profit for the original trilogy May the 4th League that I'm going to be playing And there's definitely like 6-7 cards in there that I don't ever use. So I'm looking forward to using them. All right. So probably another turn where maybe I don't know. I probably should have moved somebody here. Like the drain would be, that also what goes through my head either. Oh, he's going to find Decree V, and then moving like Leia here is not going to actually add anything, number one. Number two, I'm not going to be able to drain there because it's a -1. I'm not going to be able to put 2 aliens to protect it. And I have Ultimatum now, so it's not like, or maybe a couple turns ago, I think turning on Ultimatum probably would have been beneficial. But yeah, that was my poor kind of thought process when I was playing, again, a little overly conservative. I really should have just been trying to do everything possible to add more. At some point I just got to take the calculated risk of like, he hasn't found Decree V yet. I mean, who knows? Maybe it was even top deck. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough. But I shouldn't have just been assuming I was going to get Decree V out. Like, assume it's not coming out until it's coming out. Like, that's like the game against Worst, where I was like assuming he had imbalance combo and playing around that assumption. It's probably overthinking. So now we're getting towards the end here. Eventually, I'm just going to do another round of damage. He does a round of damage. I move eventually to block this Jabba's Palace Drain to the point where I feel comfortable not getting beaten up and then having him move in. And that was what I was afraid of. Like, if I move a couple strong characters out, and then what if you move some people in? Again, more overthinking it probably. But this drain of 2 and it's retrieve. It would have been nice to find B. I think I top deck BB-8 pretty early in this game. Oh yeah, he popped him here with one of the Ray retrieval options. So yeah, I just draw here knowing he's going to hit me for 1, 2, 3, 4 damage anyway. I'm going to draw that amount, knowing that I have something I can cycle to. So yeah, he's got 8. He's going to retrieve and eventually goes. And then literally, I think it was the move phase right before he had 1 force left. I lost my power, which didn't come back for 7 hours, which is insane considering we didn't even have a storm. So I had to fire up the generator after a couple, but luckily I was able to play game 2 on hotspot for my phone. So this ends. I win by 12. Going into the second game, final game. Thinking to myself, I got to lose by 11 or do better than that. I haven't played a game since then. All right, so final game of the MPC 2021 coming up here. Coming up on an hour 55. Woof. Yeah, so, typical stuff. I'm going to play pretty conservative at the beginning, knowing that, he could flip and put 2 smugglers together and spin and do some pretty decent damage pretty quickly. So I don't want to overcommit my hand, especially because I think in this game it took me a little while to find I have a Masterful Move combo. So I got Gick as my safety valve. I got DS612. I open hand the shield, so I don't have to worry about whiffing on that and giving him 2 extra icons. But yeah, I think this game, he's eventually going to do similar to Wirfs of get on the 3 Tatooine sites, set up Ultimatum, accumulate his tricks. I don't know to what extent he might have been expecting or not expecting weapons. But, his ability between Kessel Run and Tatooine Celebration, he could pick up a lot of diff late in the game. And that's where, obviously, Watch Your Step is a really good deck, a really strong deck, and good for this type of format where it's versatile. It doesn't really have... I think the worst matchups might be Court, and I don't know if Joe thought this much about me, but I don't really ever play Court. I don't know, Wirfs, I feel like I've seen him play Court mains before, but knowing that's Watch Your Step's like weakest matchup is Court, that made Joe even more confident in playing Watch Your Step. But I assume that Wirfs, Gogolin, and Joe could all play Watch Your Step, and that they all could play Map. Yeah. So he gets Kira out. Again, pretty smart move, seeing that I'm probably going to be more of a spacey deck. Sure, he has some type of evasion here. And I'm seeing a lot more dodges now, I think, since the Dobreed combo was errated. Like, even in main stacks, I'm seeing it. Like, obviously, it's good for the subtract the 3, but I'd always be terrified to play that card because they cancel your react and you might be in big trouble. So again, I don't think I'm overcommitting here because, again, he's activating a decent amount. He could flip, pair together a couple smugglers, do a spin, not that difficult. And of course, Joe did this when I played him in Worlds, and it was game 8. No, it was game 9. we were both 8-1, and I was playing as agents and he was playing Watch Your Step. And again, I was just like in awe of how patient and calculated he is at using his control tunnel visions to get the key cards and not burn them on canceling 4 strains. Because with Watch Your Step, you almost want to just throw interrupts into your loss pile because you can cycle them, even if you got to pay for them with the shield. But that combined with the capability to use Kessel Run, retrieve some cards, and set up Celebration. Watch Your Step, if the player is very good and very patient, it just kind of laughs at early pressure. And I was definitely probably approaching this from the mindset of like, I just got to keep cramming through damage. Definitely also in the mindset of don't let him set up Celebration. And, it seemed like his reserve decks were not going down. And I think, this is going to haunt me for a long time, but at some point he draws up to 16 cards. I have Monarch. I don't think he knows I have Monarch. It's not like I played Masterful Move to get it. Or maybe I force push for it. And he's got 16 cards in his hand, and for some reason I play Monarch Lost. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I know what I was thinking. I was thinking, maybe if I grab a couple spins, or maybe even a couple control tunnel visions, that could really be swingy. But who cares? Like, I got Black 2 to take care of. Black 2 and Marek Steel to take care of all wings. And even if I put him in the lost pile, he can just play him, and he's got now the sand card to protect him in battles. So there's just no logical reason why I played it lost. If I played it used with a 16-card hand, and as maybe we'll see, I could have really set him back like 2-3 turns because he had Kessel, which now that he's flipped, he could not upload with the objective. He had Kessel Run, which I think he used his Walkling pull or maybe some type of pull maybe to find it. Yeah, here it is. So yeah. So that would have been, stop. Yeah. So then I see he's got all these ground tricks. So it's a trap, Run Luke Run, who's in the middle. So you can protect both sides. It's a hit. So again, there's just no point in me Barrier Blastador. No point. That was the other thing. Maybe I thought, maybe I'll get 2 Lukes. Maybe he's playing 3 Lukes and I'll get 2. It's like, it's not just awful thinking on my part. And then, so he's got plenty of evasion and counterbeat potential on tattooing sites. He's got projection, which he can put here when I go here, but I'm going to need to satisfy battle plan at some point. And yeah, I think it would have, and maybe if I grabbed some of this evasion, maybe I then would have been kind of confident. Maybe go down with like Mara and Kylo and try to like beat up on take a risk. That probably would have been against my mantra, but it might have been worth it to just, like if I get, he only has 1 saved, so he can't play It's a Trap. If I were to nab like Run Luke Run, and maybe, so maybe Barriers Mara, and then I come down with Kylo who gets through. And maybe if I got rid of the Run Luke Run, maybe I hit Lando, overflow him for 6-7. Especially seeing he does not have Hujix. Maybe that's a calculated risk. But obviously if I played used, I don't know what all the cards he has. So I just have to go on the assumption of, hey, he probably has Run Luke Run. Let me gamble that I'm going to grab one of the key evasion card he's relying on and go from there. But it would have been way bigger if I could have nabbed Kessel or Kessel Run to the use pile. I think that buys me another couple turns late in the game. It just slows him down, and then I can maybe just work that diff a little bit more. Maybe even then, maybe I commit even more to making sure Celebration doesn't come out. Because maybe I can get him to a point where I maybe even get into the position of, okay, I can draw up. Because he needs to extend the game so he can get that Kessel Run retrieval. So that's where I'm going to be kicking myself for a long time for that, because it would have been, yeah, I think it would have been really big. But yeah, so I was just kind of in a pickle here of like, all right, he's going to projection this drain. I have these drains of 2 and 2, but he's going to get that all back with Kessel Run at some point, because my hope is that I need to have weapons at Kessel and make sure he's not able to complete it. But again, Joe's a world champion. Joe's an excellent player. He's not going to go to Kessel before he kind of has a way to buy time and squat there and complete the Kessel Run using Han, finding his matching ships, and just getting those cards back. And in the process, pulling me away from a drain of 2. So since none of the cards left his hand, and he knew exactly what was where, he was able to set this up, retrieve. And I think I did some goofy things at the end. Like I definitely battled when I shouldn't have battled, but I think there was any way I could have kept grinding him down. He was definitely going to stabilize. And he was going to polish me off. These ground drains of 2-1-1 and the drain of 1 at Corellia, the math just wasn't on my side. And that's one of the drawbacks of EOPS. It puts a lot of cards on the table, like in a sneaky manner too. But I think it's against Watch Your Step, against a really good player's Watch Your Step, it might have a hard time unless I can get something swingy to happen, like hit the Monarch or make the weapons go through at a key point. And that's where I was kind of in a pickle here. I think I top decked the cannons, and that's where I wasn't able to come down offensively with the cannons. He barriered. I think he barriered her there. So yeah. So this goes out eventually. It's like he's in like the 18-20 range. The math isn't going to work. So I can see it, and congratulations to Joe for back-to-back majors, including Worlds and MPC, which are very different events and very, very difficult, and often the two most attended events of the 5 or 6 majors that happen each year. Of course, we're in a little bit of a interesting situation with COVID, and the events, frankly, are more people. Well, this year's MPC wasn't, but last year's was maxed out, and Worlds was a lot. And yeah, so that is my tournament report for the 2020 MPC runner-up JNAP. Hopefully one of these majors someday I can win and I won't regret some of my decisions for a long time. Yeah, thank you guys for jumping in the chat. Always good to have a few comments to work off of. Hopefully my token towards the May the 4th be with you celebration. Everyone generate some content. Let's see some of your reports. We're getting some good stuff on people's stories and people's thematic games, and check out the forums. Kendall's got an interview up now about Jerry Darcy. He's going to have another really cool one coming. And I don't want to spoil something. He's got some other announcements. There's a lot of great stuff going on right now. So everyone check the forums, check Slack, keep up to date. A lot of cool things going on, and definitely want to get, celebrate the game, celebrate Star Wars in general. And I definitely want to recognize people and their efforts for doing that. So thanks to anyone who watched us live and who watched on the replay. Take care, and hopefully I do another stream. I'm anticipating doing another stream in a much shorter time, since the gap from 10 to 11, episode 12, will become sooner. All right, everyone take care. Bye.